be honest, like I'm worrying about the biggest and best fights in the company. You know, just Dustin, he's like 5.
Working in favor of Chimaev, but who knows? Again, they fight to fight.
Pertarungan di kelas welter antara Khamzat Chimaev melawan Colby Burns yang akan digelar di UFC 274 mendatang pada bulan Mei selalu menjadi pembahasan yang hangat. Apalagi pemenang dari pertarungan itu, seperti yang telah dikonfirmasi Dana White, merupakan hal yang masuk akal untuk diteruskan kepada pertarungan perebutan gelar.
Khamzat VS Chimaev, Gilbert Durinho.
Pro dan kontra pun bermunculan dari statement White tersebut, terutama dari para petarung di kelas welter itu sendiri, selain dari para veteran petarung UFC yang senantiasa memberikan tanggapannya. Namun kali ini kita bukannya membahas pro dan kontra tersebut, melainkan opini dari dua petarung ternama UFC di kelas welter, Colby Covington dan Neil Magny, yang menanggapi bagaimana nantinya pertarungan itu berjalan antara Bos dan Durinho. Sesi pertama ada Colby Covington, di mana dalam tanggapannya, The Choice tampak tidak begitu memperdulikan potensi pertarungan Chimaev versus Burns, karena dia beranggapan kedua petarung itu tidak pada levelnya. Colby beralasan selain pertarungan perebutan gelar itu tidak termasuk ke dalam kategorinya sebagai pertarungan terbesar yang penuh gengsi. Meski demikian, ada juga sedikit tanggapannya mengenai pertarungan itu, dan inilah komentarnya.
I know in the interview as well, you mentioned Khamzat Chimaev. He's fighting Gilbert Burns, and you sort of mentioned how he's got to fight a contender, and Burns is ranked fairly high in that weight class. You think Khamzat will beat Burns? Because obviously a lot of people are going on the hype train. He's the betting favorite. Do you think Burns will be able to get it done, or do you see Chimaev doing it?
I mean, I don't pay attention to journey and jobbers, James, to be honest. Like, I'm worrying about the biggest and best fights in the company. You know, just Dustin, he's like 5 or 6 guy on the pound for pound list. So if you're so pound for pound and so good, then come fight someone that's at your weight class. You weigh more than me, Dustin, so this fight needs to happen. So I'm not worried about Cum Shot and his fight. You know, he hasn't beat one contender yet, James. Let's talk about facts and truth. You're talking about a guy in Colby Covington I've beaten. UFC champion after UFC champion, 4 or 5 UFC champions on my resume, you know, won a UFC title. So this is the most prestigious and biggest fights in the sport. You're talking about a guy who's fighting his first contender fight, a contender, and this is a guy that is not a true welterweight contender. He was getting knocked out by lightweights. Dilbert, I mean, he got knocked out by a lightweight. I mean, you shouldn't even be a contender, dude. So I'm not really worried about that fight, but whoever wins the fight, it's the UFC. That's what they want to do, and that's the business and the route they want to go. I mean, that's another easy money paycheck. I'm not really worried about it. Both guys are not on my level, and I'm the best pound for pound people's champion in the world right now. Nobody's gonna stop me.
Selanjutnya petarung peringkat 8 kelas welter, Neil Magny, kali ini banyak memberikan ulasannya, dimulai dari banyaknya keganjilan yang dilakukan UFC di saat pertarungannya dengan Chimaev hampir terjadi, sampai memberikan prediksinya dari pertarungan Chimaev versus Burns. Magny mengulaskan bahwa kedua petarung sama-sama akan mampu mengatasi kelebihan masing-masing, meski dia beranggapan bahwa Burns akan sangat mampu memanfaatkan situasi jika saja Chimaev berhasil menjatuhkannya ke lantai dengan gulat tingkat tingginya. Di akhir tanggapannya, Magny membeberkan jagoannya di antara kedua petarung itu. Simak komentarnya sampai selesai.
Obviously, you've been tied to Khamzat Chimaev forever, and this goes back to I think even during the pandemic, you agreed to fight him, he agreed to fight you, it never came to fruition. Was there anything close to happening? I got to know that, because I know for a while there, he didn't have an opponent, and I don't know what they were trying to do with the matchup.
Yeah, I mean, at one point I even heard that Dana was actually going to make the fight happen, and then there was some alleged visa issues that caused the fight not to get happen, or it was making me kind of shaky on making that fight happen, and then it fell through. So here we are again, back at the drawing board, trying to get someone locked in for a date, and finally I was able to get Max Griffin, so here we go.
Do you think that fight's cursed? Because it seems like this is this dragon you keep chasing and it doesn't come up. And obviously now he's fighting Gilbert Burns.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, it's more so about business than fighting. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that Chimaev would actually take that fight, but at the end of the day, I think it was more of a business move as opposed to just going out there and fighting anyone. If I had the chance to fight number 2 guy instead of number 8 guy, screw number 8 guy, I'm fighting number 2 guy. So I can't fault him in this camp for making that decision at all. At that point, it was just business.
Well, do you think it was also a little bit strange that he fought a guy that you already defeated? Like, if you guys have agreed to fight, you're ranked higher. Do you think that was a little odd that he fought Li Jingliang, who you defeated during the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought that one was weird. Like, at that point, I was like, all right, cool. If Moh's willing to fight this dude, I'll do it. They acknowledged it. UFC acknowledged it. Everyone acknowledged it. And said I was the only one willing to fight this guy. And then I was not booked for a fight. I was wide open asking for a fight. He and the guy, I had agreed to fight each other. And I was like, oh, here we go. This is the fight to make. They're going to make it happen. And then I saw that he was fighting a guy who I previously beat. And I was just like, what the heck? Like, what is going on there? But like I said, man, like, there's so many crazy things that happened in the last couple months that I can't explain.
And how do you think he'll do against Gilbert Burns? That fight's coming up here pretty soon. First, top 5 opponent that he's competed against. Burns has got a lot of experience. He's good everywhere too. Good stand-up, good ground game. How do you think that fight plays out?
I think he plays out pretty well for Chimaev, if I'm being honest. I mean, when it comes to the range and wrestling ability, I feel like he definitely is able to get an advantage there. I mean, Gilbert is definitely phenomenal on the ground, but getting a high-level wrestler to the ground may be very difficult for him, especially with the significant reach advantage. So I definitely see the odds working in favor of Chimaev, but who knows? At the end of the day, the fight's a fight.
Yeah, but if I gave you $500, who are you putting your money on?
I'll probably pocket $400 and put $100 at Chimaev.
Tanggapan yang terakhir malah berbeda dari kedua petarung sebelumnya. Kali ini datang dari petarung kelas menengah yang rencananya akan berhadapan dengan pemegang gelar Israel Adesanya. Jared Cannonier tampak sekali memberikan banyak dukungan kepada Chimaev untuk lebih meningkatkan karir UFC dengan menaikkan kelas pon pertarungan. Cannonier menjelaskan bahwa Chimaev akan jauh lebih berhasil jika pindah dari kelas welter.
Hot prospect right now, right?
Yeah.
Dana's pretty hot on him, and from what he's shown in the octagon, the dude looks the second coming of Conor McGregor. But I don't even like to make the comparison because he is his own self. He is his own man. He's doing his own thing. So I tip my hat to him, man. He's doing a good job, and if he comes with the 85, that'd be cool too. You know what I'm saying?